Acharya 90 FM, your own radio. Myself, Tejaswini. In our guest interview, we have invited today Mr. Kunal Hriday. Kunal sir, welcome to Acharya 90 FM, your own radio.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me tell you about a little bit of Kunal sir. He is a social activist. Basically, he is an actor, he is a poet, he is a writer, and he has published. He is a martial artist also, and he is into classical vocals also. He has learned classical music, and he has love for animals. So we will be knowing all his aspect and journey till now. So Kunal sir, first I think we should start with your writing aspect, right?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So how you pursued when you started writing, that I could ask you.
First of all, thank you Tejaswini for this generous introduction. I think that's a lot for me. To answer your question, I think writing is not something you choose.
Okay.
I've been writing since I was very young, but I never envisioned myself as a writer, to be honest. However, I have always aspired to be an actor, which gladly I am today. And I would say writing happened in the process.
Okay.
Once I realized that, I think I am coming up with something very professional. I mean, this kind of writing which I am doing is not usual. Then I think I decided to get my work published. So that's how it happened.
Yeah, great. But we get inspired with certain personalities, right? Though in acting and as a writer, who inspired you basically?
My inspiration were, I would say when I started reading the Indian poets, and specifically there's a vidha which is called Chand Kavita.
Okay.
So when I was exposed to Harivansh Rai Bachchan,
Yeah.
Ramdhari Singh Dinkar, Surikant Tripathi Nirala,
Premchand, yeah.
Munshi Premchand is still more of a story writer.
Okay.
So I'm talking about poets
Poets, okay.
who would write in Chand.
Yeah.
And when I was introduced to the Chand, so Tulsidas is a Chand Kavi.
Yeah.
So he would write in a rhyme and a meter.
Mm-hmm.
That gave me a kick. I
Yeah.
realized that that's kind of the supreme, that's the peak of poetry.
Okay.
And I was so inspired by it then that I started to write in the same, following the same patterns, and that brought me really into, I would say, very the kind of writing which I'm doing these days.
Okay. And I'd like to ask you about your journey from Delhi to Bombay. How you find Mumbai?
I love Bombay. Bombay is nice. I love the vibes of the city. Whenever I come here, it's so nice. I mean, the weather of Bombay never really bothered me. However, it does bothers many, but it never bothered me. I love Bombay. I love people. I love Bombay. I love the culture. Everything about Bombay is nice.
Yeah, and many of the struggling artists, and they all over India, they come down to Bombay as is a Bollywood city. So they come here, they do their struggle, and they get their name, fame, everything in their life. So what was the thing, what made you to come to Bombay, and how you started your acting career in Bombay?
To be honest, I didn't come to Bombay for acting.
Okay.
I was doing masters from Indian Statistical Institute in
Yeah.
Delhi, which is a very revered institute of statistics. There I got a campus placement, and my first job was in Axis Bank, Mumbai, Worli branch.
Okay.
So there's a head office of Axis Bank in Worli, where I was placed. That happened to be the reason for me to land in Bombay, but I was very happy that I'm blessed to come into this city. Being an artist and finding yourself in Bombay without choice is a blessing. I could have been somewhere else, maybe Gurgaon, Bangalore or Pune, but I was blessed to come here.
Yeah, nice. And I would like to ask you have been working with the various TV ads or the commercials we say, and even the documentaries, and we would like to know what are the serials or where have you done your acting basically?
I haven't done any serials. I think I'm very busy in my laboratory. So I do very active theatre, and my shows are also very popular. I do a show with the name Var Satra Bar, which is also my book.
Okay.
It's a solo show as well as I do it in a group. We have performed it at several prestigious platforms, including Shri Ram Center. Documentaries I have done. I've done a very interesting. Recently, I did a very interesting documentary of Satyug Darshan Trust, and it's again a spiritual organization. And they really liked my ideas, and I could understand their concepts, being associated or being very much interested in Vedanta. So I got a chance to do comparing in one of their documentaries, and recently I've done some commercial ads as well. It's a simple journey. I mean, you spend time in Bombay, you do theatre, you meet casting directors, and gradually, eventually, once you grow your skill, I think there are people out there to identify your talent, and they would invite you. Yeah.
So you mentioned about your first book and your first theatrical performance, which was on the Var Satrah Bar. So can you narrate some incidences, or how you can you narrate something about your book?
Yes, I can
Some
narrate.
incidences, yeah.
I can narrate some stanzas from my book. I can narrate. Let me just recall how.
And how was the entire process? Right from selection of the artist and writing the book, and then making it into a theatre.
So surely first the idea came up. So the book came up before theatre.
Theatre, yeah.
Rather, I would say the poetry came before theatre. I got it published after I had performed it somewhere. But the idea obviously came before, and anything of quality and content surely takes a lot of time. So it took me around 2 to 3 years to conceptualize, frame, and build this concept of Var Satrah Bar. And it's a very, I would say, masculine text, because it talks about war, it talks about the art of winning.
Okay.
And this is inspired by the essence of number 17 is inspired by the relevance of number 17 in our history when it comes to wars. So there are very interesting coincidences I can tell you, I can mention. For example, there were 17 wars between Krishna and Jarasandh, if you know.
Okay.
There were again 17 wars between Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad Ghori. There was a king with the name Ahom. He is an East Indian king, and he fought Mughals 17 times.
Okay.
Again, for Maharana Pratap, it was a struggle of around 17 years after he lost the battle from Akbar, and he was constantly creating strategies, doing guerrilla wars until he died, and that time frame was 17 years. The time frame for which Humayun was struggling to get his kingdom back was again 17 years. There are 17 days. For 17 days, essentially the battle of Mahabharata went on. So basically on the 17th day, the decision was done. Everybody knew that now it's the Pandavas are going to win. So the battle was for essentially 17 days, the battle of Mahabharata. And several other incidences. This is a very, I would say, very, very strange coincidence that why when it comes
why
to...
only 17?
Why 17? Why, when it comes to wars, why this number is so prominent? There is a spiritual relevance of this number.
Okay.
And that spiritual relevance comes from another story which has to do with number 17. The spiritual relevance is that in one of the Jatak Kathas of Lord Buddha, he mentions that before attaining Nirvana, he fought with a demon 17 times in Dhyan. And that demon was named Mara. So you would find in Indonesian scriptures and a lot of Vajrayan is in a lot of Vajrayan scriptures the mention of Asura Mara. And this Asura is basically not a bad Asura. It's not a demon in the sense that he is evil. But he is somebody, say, who is very prosperous. I mean, and he is he has wealth, he has things. He is rich. Somebody you would say in the lines of Indra, who is possessed with a lot of things. And for Nirvana, you have to essentially drop everything. So the thing is that nature conspired against Buddha 17 times in a way that when he was almost there, almost at the point of Nirvana,
to distract him.
So the nature came in and said that, I would offer you everything, wealth, I would offer you the empire, I would make you king. Why are you, in such a hurry? and Gautam Buddha lost 16 battles to Mara before attaining Nirvana in the 17th battle. So I think this number is very crucial, and it lays down 17 very important lessons probably of our life, which I tried to put up in my book. So it is divided into 17 poems. And every poem starts with the analogy, catharsis, and then ends with a catharsis. It ends with a message, you would say. And that message is about the art of survival, what a king should do in such and such and such scenario. Whole lot of thinking process went behind it. I collected incidents. There was so many personal incidents, and also many things I read to come up with this analogy, because when this thought started to brim up, so I couldn't resist. I just wanted to collect, gather, and finish it. It took a while, but I'm glad that I was blessed to create something which I can say is a very different work of art. At least I haven't seen anything of this sort in my time, at least. So that is how Var Satrabar came up, and surely the book came much before. And before I started working on Var Satrabar, of course, I was very much inspired by similar poetry. So maybe that's how the destiny puts you into something. I never knew that I would write a book. I always thought that I'm a big fan of poetry. But then in the journey, I happened to write something which I think hasn't been written yet. It's very difficult. So it's very similar to mathematics. It is very difficult to find something very new in art. So much has already been done. There have been so many poets, so many shair. So
they have given a lot of contribution to Hindi.
So, for example, if I ask love, what is new, you would say, in love?
It's a common thing.
So much has been said, so much has been written. So that is why it is difficult. But gladly, I think very less has been said about war. So things I can recall is Maharana Pratap by Shyam Narayan Pandey, or Rashmi Rati by Ramdari Singh Dinkar. Or you can say Andha Yug by Dharamveer Bharti is one another text which is very interesting about war. But out of this context, at least in Hindi literature, I can't really recall anything of that sort. So I think this is the next text which adds to that universe of philosophy or psychology of war.
It is very impressive, and I want to hear the poems right now.
Okay.
Could you please share some of your of them?
I'll recite. Let me just recite it from the book. I have this book. I'll just open one very personal favorite poetry of mine, and this poem is about martyrdom, which is a very important aspect of war, because you can't deny the fact that people will die if there is a war. People die, men die, and it's very unfortunate. It's very upsetting, but that is the truth which Krishna tells to Arjuna, that that is not really the point where the life should stop. Sometimes dharma is beyond life and death. So this poetry is called Shahadat, and let me recite a few lines. So this line is: गर अंदाज लगा पाता इंसान आने वाले पल का, बात ही क्या थी फिर तो सब कुछ पहले से ही तय हो जाता, जंग से पहले ही हो जाती बात लाजमी क्या होगा, क्या लड़ना फिर खेल खत्म लो हम हारे और तुम राजा, खेल यही है कुदरत का, खेल में है एक खेल बसा, चल रहा जो प्यादे बिसात पर खुद बिसात पर यहाँ खड़ा, मानो ना मानो है चलता और ही कोई हम सबको, असल खिलाड़ी खेल ही है यहाँ खेल ही सबको खेल रहा. And then the story continues. So it's a story. It's a story of a king. And then after that, this story proceeds, and then in the end, I'll just recite some catharsis of this poem, which says that बदकिस्मत हैं सोचते हैं जो क्या ही मिलता वीरों को, बकने वाले बकें शहादत सुने नहीं तकरीरों को, है ये उनका खेल जिन्हें है जीत का असली भेद पता, और पता तस्कीन फकत क्यों मिलती रही फकीरों को. Taskin is peace. So people who know that why saints own peace. They
Yeah,
possess
this is
peace.
little difficult. Even I'm not getting it.
Let me come to the next line. I think this is easier.
Okay.
कटते हैं प्यादे अपने भी, जंग कोई आसान नहीं.
हाँ.
This is fine.
Yeah.
चिंगारी का काम जलाना, पूछे ना पहचान कहीं, ना देखे बालक बूढ़ा, ये जला के सब कुछ खाक करे.
हाँ.
बेरहम है कुदरत, सच इसमें दया प्रेम का भान नहीं. The observation is that faith
Yeah.
is absolutely a great thing to have, but nature is not that great. I mean, it's great, of course, but it's rude. It's rude. You have to survive. You have to struggle.
Yeah, struggle for survival.
It's not easy. It's not easy to earn money. It's not easy to
Sustain life,
sustain. It's not easy to protect yourself. There are diseases. There are so many things. There's been man versus nature is such a long fight, or I
Yeah.
would say human versus nature,
Human versus
including
nature.
women as well. It's been such a long fight. So
Yeah.
बेरहम है कुदरत, सच इसमें दया प्रेम का भान नहीं. दाव आखिरी करता है फैसला कि जीता कौन यहाँ. मरना तो है ही, लेकिन किस तरह मरे अनमोल यहाँ. मरे हाय मरे करते करते, या जीना साकार किया, डट लड़े निपट आखिरी सांस तक, वार 17 बार किया. And this last stanza is more about the idea of martyrdom, that everybody will die.
हाँ.
So what is important is how you die. So you can make your life special, because everybody's life is fine, is same.
Is this? Yeah.
But you can make your life special by dying a more glorious death. And that is the essence of martyrdom. That if the people who are dying for the country, for the soldiers,
Yeah.
they are no doubt the supreme-most civilians, because they are living a more life, because they are dying a glorious death. That's the idea of the poetry. I mean, there's a whole lot of things to say. This is one part which specifically talks about martyrdom, but there are other parts as well about poetry, about politics. So let me recite another poetry, just 2-3 lines,
Yeah, sure.
which is about politics, and it's a very integral part of Rananiti. So Rajniti is a part of Rananiti, and how strange life is depicted in this poem. And this poem is Khel mein So have you ever played cards by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you won't be able to relate. So it's
King, queen, and
yeah. So the poetry is खेल में पत्ते बिछे थे हर तरह के शूर के. The shur is a fighter.
Yeah.
खेल में पत्ते बिछे थे हर तरह के शूर के, सर बनेंगे या कटेंगे पान बेगम हूर के. या गुलामों में ही आपस में झड़प हो जाएगी, 4 रंगों में बटे थे पहले ही सब टूट के. और पिसना पाए जो गड्डी से बाहर रह गए, क्या पता हकदार थे जो कर जने सब कह गए.
Nice.
Again, another analogy. काट कर पीसा था गड्डी को अदब से बीच से,
हाँ, बराबर.
फिर हुआ क्या तुर्प के पत्ते क्यों नीचे रह गए. तुर्प इज ट्रम्प.
Yeah.
फिर हुआ क्या तुर्प के पत्ते क्यों नीचे रह गए.
हाँ.
जंग के सैलाब में दहलों ने दिल दहला दिया, और जो आगे लड़े वो सबसे पहले बह गए.
Oh.
That's how strange war is. That the most strongest warriors die the earliest. So these are the kind of analogies which are there in this book, and this book also has to do with a very internal struggle of ours. The story is of a king, but it's essentially a shadow poetry. When you read it, you would realize that there is nothing which is talked about any specific king, or it's not a specific story. It's a quest of everyone. It's our quest. It's just another perspective of to look at the idea of survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how was the experience when it was a first book, right? It's your
Yes.
first baby.
It's my first baby. Yeah.
So how was the experience when you firstly published this book?
Experiences
How
of
was the response from the audience?
response is definitely very nice. I think the audience of the book is limited because it is rich in Hindi, and people who can relate to Hindi poetry obviously are the first ones to grab a flavor of this book. But for that reason only, there is a visual version of this book. That is why I do play. That's why I do a theater as well. So that people who
It can
are
reach
not,
out to many people.
it
at
can
a
reach
time.
out to people who are not familiar or find difficulty in Hindi specifically. They can also relate to it.
Yeah.
And once you've seen the play, then it is much easy to comprehend the book. That is also the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're a founder of Vayam Performing Arts.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So what is it? And you have been working 15 years for that. So
Yes,
what is
it's-
the foundation?
So when I was in college, in Shivaji College in Delhi University, there was no theatre group there. There I started a society, Vayam Performing Arts, and it wasn't just me. We were a bunch of colleagues,
Okay.
and we started this group, Vayam Performing Arts. And after we passed out, we realized that we would like to, don't break that association, and we got it professionally registered. Now it's been very long, it's been 14, 15 years. It's a very grown up, it's a very active group of theatre professionals. We have a team in Delhi, we have a team in Mumbai. Lot of our students have done masters or graduation from the prime institutes like FTII, BNA, Mumbai University, MA in Theatre, NSD.
Yeah.
And they are also doing pretty good in cinema and theatre.
Okay.
So things have been great. I mean, this has kept the theatre in me as well alive.
Yeah.
That's also,
Definitely.
yeah.
We'll continue the talk with a short break. Kindly listen to Acharya 90 FM, your on radio. Thank you.
Acharya 90 FM, 90 FM.
Welcome after the short break. You're listening to Acharya 90 FM, your own radio. We are having conversation with Kunal Hriday. Now let me ask you about your classical music adventure. Yeah.
Classical
so I think
music.
you learned from Mrs. Shashi Nigam.
Mrs. Shashi Nigam.
Yeah,
She is a very devout vocalist and teacher here in Mumbai Circle, and I learned for 4 to 5 years. And before I say anything, that if I really know classical music, with due apologies to all the gurus, that I am not really. I can't say
A
really
professional one. Okay.
I'm not a professional singer,
Yeah.
but yes, I do understand music. I can say that. I can sing. I can sing, but I'm not really. That's not my forte. I'm an actor
Okay.
primarily, and I have learned music sufficient enough to train myself as an actor. And for that, obviously, all the due goes to my guru, Ms.
Yeah.
Shashi Nigam. Yeah.
Yeah. And in acting, you basically got the tutelage from Neeraj Kabi sir. And
Yes, I learned-
We would
I
like
learned.
to know about him.
I learned from him, and I'm glad that at his level there are very few actors who are out there in the open to teach their skills. I did learn from him and several other teachers as well. So acting, I would say, has been a journey rather,
Yeah,
not really under one guru, and that is how
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
things are in acting.
And it's not limited for 3 years course, 5 years course.
Yes, exactly. So
It's a journey, yeah.
it's a journey. It's
Life
a
journey, yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, that acting is rather not really one art, rather an intersection of many arts.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to stick yourself in acting. So yes, I have learned surely from Neeraj Kabi, and it was a great experience to be mentored under his guidance. And also I have been exposed to a lot of actors as general. So I think a lot of things you learn
Yeah.
together performing on stage. So that has also been the case. One thing, yeah.
Yeah. And I would ask you, how was the experience after getting the Sangeet Natak Academy Award? It's a prestigious award.
Yeah,
so
okay.
it's a-
So let me just clarify. I think I'm still. That award is. I got the award for the performance, for the play which I
yeah.
do. So there is an annual award which is only kind of given once to one individual, Sangeet
Okay.
Nataka Award. So
Yeah.
yet I'm not the receiver of that award. Yet I haven't got that award, but I hope to get it. But so far I have got the award for the play,
Play, yeah. Which you have written.
Yeah. So there are two categories. One is the production,
Yeah.
and then there is an actor in general.
Actor in general.
That
yeah.
is often given to somebody who's of much experience.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think too young to receive any award at a
Yeah,
national
but getting
level.
this award for your play, that is also.
That is obviously
yeah.
yeah. So yes, that has happened, and I'm very grateful to them to acknowledge my efforts and acknowledge this text at a very at such a young age. They recognized it, and it was appreciated.
Yeah.
It was
And it's a
appreciated.
remarkable work you have done. So it got notified. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
I would like to ask you regarding social initiatives. You have some social initiatives, like you associated with the animal shelters. So you have love for the animals, and
Yes.
what is that?
I do have love for animals, and especially cows and dogs. I think I don't have a personal corner for these two animals.
Huh.
I think they are very lovely animals. If you have dogs, if you see dogs, they are so much social. They just merge with humans. I think the most cruel animal is human being. Unfortunately, I belong to this species, but as I think one responsibility as Hindus we must take up is to channelize our prayers, our donations to places, to things which are helping someone. So I'm a true supporter, in fact, a very, very crude supporter of ideas that rather than funds going into the mandir kosh,
Yeah.
into the temples, it should rather be diverted to helping animals.
Yeah,
and
helping poor. Yeah.
helping poor, helping animals. See, poor is still fine. Poor is still fine, because human being, as the Vedanta says, as Dharma says, that everything is karma, because the karma things are happening. But the situation we are in today, right now, man is eating upon the space of animals.
Yeah.
Animals are not coming in our way.
Yeah.
So so for example, there are floods in Delhi right now. So we are in the way of the river. River
Yeah.
is not in our way.
Yeah.
So we must understand, I think, this responsibility that if you have anything to donate, if you have anything to do, serve, rather than putting that money into a temple or getting it use it as a, I would say, bargain with God to fulfill your wishes. I think one great way is to help out animals. So there's a very popular these days. Sukoon is a shelter house in Delhi where I would often visit, and I would make sure that I try to help the shelter as much as possible. I also proposed a very interesting idea to some of the very influential and revered people, if they can design and structure out things that every god is associated with an animal.
Yeah.
Right. So if there has to be an association, if you really want to drive for people who are religiously motivated and motivate or drive that motivation towards actually helping animals, then one way is to associate the shelter houses of a specific god
Yeah.
to the temples of
Temples,
that
yeah.
specific animal. to the-
Locality. Yeah.
So for example, dog is the animal of Lord Dattatreya.
That's right.
Also Bhagwan Parshuram.
Okay.
So wherever there are temples of Lord Dattatreya or Bhagwan Parshuram, we can have a simple QR code
Yeah.
and address of the dog shelter. If somebody is interested, then rather than putting it or giving to the temple funds, they can also, I'm not denying that you don't donate to the temple,
Yeah.
but maybe you can
Some
devote
part of
some
the
part
funds
of it
can-
to
yeah.
the dog shelters. And you go there, the situation is so difficult. Nobody wants to pick a dog which is who is hurt in an accident, is lying on the road. Nobody wants to pick that dog and take it to dog shelter. Even if the government facilities, government hospitals are not sufficient for human beings, so how do you expect them to be sufficient for animals?
Yeah.
So the donation, when it goes to these shelter houses, the NGOs which are genuinely working for the welfare of animals, I think it's a great deed. This is something which I envision is a social responsibility and social cause. I would like to take up going forward, and I am right now very much concerned about it. I'm doing as much as I can.
Yeah.
So my effort is, and this is my request to I've tried to approach ministry as well,
Okay.
if they can help in this particular regard, that So for dog, it's Lord Dattatreya, and all the famous Dattatreya temples. They can be connected to any
Yeah.
of the revered, maybe government dog shelters. People would be happy. People just don't know about it. People
There
just
is no much awareness.
there's not much awareness about it. People wouldn't mind doing actually this. And since cows are associated with obviously lot of gods, including Lord Shiva, so you can have those things are already there. I think cow is one animal which is already very revered and
Yeah.
cared for. But there are other animals like, and one of them is dogs, which is very dogs and cats rather.
Yeah.
So we can have something for them as well.
Definitely. And even you're a club member of Chitranagari Samvad Kalamanch. So would like to know about this Kalamanch and what is its role, what exactly it does.
It's a very prestigious group of prestigious poets and writers in Bombay.
Okay.
It's run by our very much regarded senior and one of very famous personalities in the Indian screenwriting scenario and lyricist scenario is the Mani Pandey and his colleague Naveen Joshi. And it's a great platform for young writers. So that's great that it's great that that such clubs are there in Bombay, and I'm glad to be a part
Yeah.
of this club where lot of, I would say, senior and celebrated poets are there, and I get a chance and opportunity to sit among them.
Yeah, and to perform.
I feel blessed that they acknowledge my work.
Yeah.
I mean, I am nobody.
And you're part of their group. That is amazing.
I'm a part of their group. Yes, I'm nobody. Like in this age, I am really, given their level of experience and the kind of work, maybe they recognize
Yeah.
my efforts and my work, and they think that I'm doing something important.
Definitely. And what are your future plans in your acting as well as writing field?
I'm right now working with a team in Delhi on a Haryanvi film project. I think regional theatre is something which is yet to come up in North India.
North India, yeah.
So Punjab has already come up, but Rajasthan and Haryana are now
Still
in that
behind, yeah.
are still behind, and right now things have started to happen.
Okay.
So there is an age of regional language actually. So with the advent of Wasipur, gangs
Yeah,
of Wasipur,
yeah.
the Bhojpuri and the languages of UP picked up.
Okay.
I think Haryana and Rajasthan are yet to pick up, and this is the time when things have started to happen. So I'm working on a film project with some colleagues as an actor and a writer as well, and that's all. I think that's the key thing which I'm doing in cinema right now. And as a writer, obviously, I've finished my one text and I'm working on another text, which is again a very, I would say, larger than life concept in itself. And this text is a kind of, I would say, complementary to Var Satrabar. So Var Satrabar is a very masculine, is a very yang idea of life. My next text is going to be completely yin idea of life, and this text is named, I've already named it. I think that's the best name. I wouldn't change this name. Its name is Stree Puran, and it's a comprehensive philosophy of woman, man and nature, rewritten. It's been said many times. A lot of people in history or poets have tried to do it, including it's the first reference of this is is in, I think,
Ramayana?
not even Ramayana.
Okay.
It's in some Ved out of the 4 Vedas. I think it's Rig Ved or something.
Ved, yeah, Rig
And
Ved.
Rig Ved mentions the story of Pururava and Urvashi.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a first reference where in a beautiful landscape where there is nature at its best,
Yes.
a beautiful woman and a courageous man meet,
Yeah.
and the whole philosophy of life happens over there. Then again, there are a lot of English poets who have written about, from the Western perspective, the story of Bible. Again, rewritten the story of Bible, that is the man, woman, nature, and the serpent. And then again, many other references are there, which is again, Ramdhari Singh Dinkar wrote Urvashi, is another very interesting work of poetry on the same idea of man. There is a book of philosophy as well by Alan Watts, and the name of the book is also Man, Woman and Nature.
Okay.
Lot of historians, including psychologists,
Sure.
historians, and poets, have tried to unravel this idea of who we are,
Yeah.
who is a woman, who is a man, and how this coexistence works. But I think the need of the hour was such that I thought that I had something new. In fact, a lot of new things to say which haven't been said yet.
Okay.
And I started writing this. I started working on this concept. I presume that I'll be able to finish this by maybe end of this year.
No.
Yeah, so there's going to be most likely going to be my second book, and that's about
Yeah, future plans.
that's
yeah.
about you. That's about women. I think that is what one thing which makes it very interesting, that at least women I've seen are not very much interested to know about
Themselves, yeah.
about war,
War.
about Var
Okay,
Satra
war.
Bar. I mean,
Huh.
that's a very masculine text, but Stri Puran is something which is something which has a more social impact, I would say. It is something which is not yet said, the mystery of woman,
Yeah.
which is I apologize to really get into the shoes of doing this being a man,
Yeah.
but I think I had some ideas which are not there out yet.
And we can know the men perspective of looking towards women.
Yes, it's not really a man's perspective, but I would say the perspective of the intellect.
Yeah.
An intellect can be a man and a woman. And the analogy is that in the book, the one thing which I've tried to do is distinguish men and women in terms of their powers.
Yeah.
So there are only two tattva, Stri tattva and Purush tattva.
Yeah.
Man is somebody who has more Purush tattva, less Stri tattva. A Stri is somebody who has more Stri tattva and less of Purush
Yeah.
tattva. But both the tattvas are present.
And that both are important. Yeah.
Both are important, and the tattva is there in both. Both the tattvas are there. So this what it does is essentially makes the powers of a woman different from the powers of a man. And this book is trying to highlight those powers.
Yeah.
So for example, and this is an observation. I'm not saying that I am trying to scientifically prove something. I'm not saying that I am absolutely correct, but these are analogies. And one analogy in the book is again that why I'm writing this book, why a woman is not writing this book, because intellect is the possession of a man. And I am saying yes, man is more intelligent, or the intellect is bestowed to man by God, and that is evident. I mean, you can see that the most best chess players in the world are men. Now the thing is that intellect is a very revered thing in today's society. I would also put a conjecture that people shouldn't, or women shouldn't feel offended if I'm saying that intellect is possessed by man, because their power is different. Also, intellect is nothing, there's nothing great about intellect. This is a myth in society that intelligent human beings are good, are better. There's nothing great about intellect. I think the damage which has been done to the world, to the damage which is right now happening to the nature,
Yeah.
that is an outcome of people who were, or the efforts of people who were great at intellect, all the technology that you can see.
Yeah.
So there is nothing amazing, great about intellect. Also, you would see that the more intelligent people, if you are high at intellect, then the more logical you are,
No.
and that really bars a lot of possibilities for you to understand the divine, because you are questioning everything. So the equivalent power of a woman
Yeah.
is intuition. So Purush, Buddhi, and Stri Bodh. That is the conjecture and one analogy which the book says, that women and men are different, and this is one way they are different.
Okay. But have you portrayed any Sita or Narmada, any of these women?
It doesn't mention any women
Okay,
as
not
such.
a particular.
Not a
Okay.
particular women. Yes, it does mentions, since it's a poetry, it has their references, but not really a story, or we are trying to emphasize on one woman, but it says a very important thing. See, we have to understand that which the very fact which brought me into writing this particular text, that we have to understand that we have seen, the humanity has seen very difficult times.
Yeah.
The dark ages, the 800 years from 1200 AD till 1900, or rather I would say until World War II.
Okay.
That this has been a very difficult time of humanity, and since it was a difficult time, somebody who has really suffered in this whole phase is women.
Yeah.
And one reason is that the education, the necessary education, and when I say education, I'm specifically saying literacy. Because education has always been there, so women were always taught to how to do embroidery, to take care of the household
Yeah.
work, to do. But I think literacy is something which is a way of expression, which was not there, and absence of it created a gap of literature. The analogy is that in 800 years, in this time frame of 800 years, I can't recall more than 5 to 6 women who were prominent. For example, maybe some queens, prominent
Rani
queens,
Lakshmi Bai,
Rani
you
Lakshmi
can say.
Bai or Mirabai
Ahilyabai.
or Ahilyabai Holkar. And there have been so many interesting texts by men in the history of human civilization, including Bible, Quran, Ramcharitmanas, Gita, Manusmriti, Kam Sutra, and there's a book Rati Rahasya, which was written by books by Chanakya, Tenali Raman, which happened to be the foundation of our civilization. But the interesting observation was that I can't recall any book by women. So it is very unfortunate that the civilization we are living in, it is missing the literature of women.
Yeah.
There is no literature of women. There's hardly any literature of women. There have been great women laureates. I must not deny Mahashweta Devi or
Yeah.
Amrita Pritam, who have come up, who have. But if you read about their biographies, you would understand that how difficult their life has been. So that literature, that missing literature. So there is Ramcharitmanas, there is no Sita Charitmanas.
Yeah.
That missing literature has created a cultural gap, cultural void, and the repercussion of that void is that men do not understand women. They do not understand their power. So, for example, intellect is my power, physical strength is my power, bodh is power of a woman, Atma Bal is a power of a woman.
Yeah.
But those things are not visible. You can't see the power of intuition. You can see the power of intellect.
Yeah.
And in the absence of the cultural knowledge, in the absence of literature by women, however, the literature of women is hidden, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes out in multiple forms. I won't say the literature of women is essentially a book. It could be anything. It could be anything. Maybe I think all the art forms, the Brahmanatyam and all the things, Bharatanatyam we see, that is somewhat a literature of women. But the opinions again are missing.
The thoughts are missing.
Thoughts are missing. So, for example, consider Kam Sutra. It's a great text. It's a celebrated text on sex education.
Yeah.
But again, it is a complete perspective of a man. About science,
Yeah,
Rishi.
yeah.
It's a masculine perspective on Kam. Obviously, you can't imagine asking women and having a female perspective in that time. I mean, that would have been very debated book. But you have to accept that there is a missing education.
Yeah.
And that education is creating issues. So the disbalance of yin and yang we see today, and that disbalance ranges from all the atrocities which we see or we hear happening to women, from them to atrocities which are happening on men by women, because those atrocities where women are not at their best, they are misusing the laws and all the news where we are hearing, those things are repercussions of a huge past which has happened, things which have happened out of ignorance. Those are, I would say, more of a repercussion rather than the essence or true nature of women. That has nothing to do with the nature of women. Nature of women is something which is completely different from that. And if set free, if once the society restores, probably we would see those patterns again. Once we have a more educated and understood society. So that is the idea of the text, and I hope I am able to convey which I am trying to convey much better once the text is out.
Yeah, definitely. And best wishes, all the best from Acharya 90 FM for your future endeavors. And thank you again for joining us on Acharya 90 FM and sharing your all the thoughts and your views towards life.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, Tejaswini.
Thank you. So friends, today in our guest interview, we had Kunal Hriday sir with us. He's as I said earlier, he's an actor, poet and writer, and also a social activist. We'll be meeting up with the next case in our next guest interview. Till then, myself Tejaswini signing off for today. Thank you.